Hello and welcome to this month's edition of the First Thursday Health and Wellness Information Series. The title of this month's talk is Weight Loss That Works. So let's get started with that. For any of you watching this who aren't familiar with my background, I'll give a few highlights briefly. I'm a former aerospace engineer turned natural physician, trained in naturopathic medicine, oriental medicine, energy medicine, and quite a few other endeavors. You can read my full biography over on my website. The link is right here on the screen. Feel free to pause the video and write that down, type it in, and read all about it if you are interested. I wanted to give a little background about why weight loss has become such a big subject in healthcare in our country. So let's take a close look at a few of the major problems. So first of all, tracking weight loss and how many people were overweight or obese didn't even really become much of a thing in the medical circles until the 1980s. This is 1985. It's a map of the U.S. showing which states are overweight or obese. There's medical definitions for those two terms, and what percentage of the population in each state meets these criteria. Well, in 1985, less than half the states had sufficient data to really even plot the graph. And none of the states for which there were data had obesity rates above 14%, 15%. So nobody was over that line into the 15% or above. So now we fast forward to 2010. That's about 25 years later, and roughly one generation. So within one generation, we went from very few people in the country being overweight and obese, and now you will notice that out of the 50 states, none of them have an obesity rate less than 20%. You recall on the previous slide, nobody was above 14% in 1985. We now have a dozen states, or roughly a quarter of the country in terms of numbers of states, an obesity rate above 30%. So now we're up to a quarter of the country has a third of their population that is overweight or obese. In 2019 now, less than 10 years later, we see the problems even worse. 13 states have obesity rates above 35%. Only 2 states have obesity rates less than 25%, getting from bad to worse quickly. So how does this happen? We don't go from this to this in only 2 generations unless something is very seriously wrong with our country. Some of the primary causes are here on this list. Food quality. The vast majority of our food quality absolutely is terrible. I have a number of videos on my website pertaining to that, my core nutrition videos. If you're interested in learning more about that, please contact me. Environmental toxins, they interfere with our endocrine system, our immune system, our nervous systems. Stress, we've created incredibly stressful lifestyles. A lot of foods are actually allergenic, and the body responds with inflammation, which causes weight gain. The cultural influences, sugar intake, sedentary lifestyles. In other words, when it comes to this epidemic obesity rate in the country, we're doing it to ourselves. So back to this concept of weight loss programs that will actually work to help you lose weight. Most traditional weight loss programs don't work because they're based solely on counting calories, balancing the calories in versus calories burned in exercise. And unfortunately, for the vast majority of you desiring to lose weight, that won't work for permanent weight loss. And the big reason for that is the caloric balance is just one of about 17 major areas that influence how much fat we store in our bodies. So each individual desiring to take control of their health and lose weight may need to focus on a different combination of these 17 areas based on your own unique biochemical individuality. So what needs to happen is two things. One, the weight loss program needs to be customized for each individual. And two, in order for it to be permanent, you need to embrace the idea of a new, healthier lifestyle. You will not achieve a healthy weight without changing your lifestyle. All right, so here we are. Here are the 17 major areas that have an effect on your weight and how much of your body is fat versus muscle and organs. The first up is food quality. Next, key micronutrients, essential nutrients, and supplements. Adverse food reactions. This includes allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances. Stress, mental and emotional reasons for eating. Grief, for instance. Stress is another. Exercise, caloric balance. These are important. They're just not the most important of the factors that affect our weight. The thyroid system, our body temperature, blood sugar control, something I call systemic chronic inflammation, your reproductive hormones, neurotransmitters, environmental toxins, something known as your hypothalamic set point, sleep, and genetics. Yes, that's right. Genetics is the least important of these 17 factors in my experience. We don't have time in this short video to look at all of these in depth. There's actually about an 8-hour class I can teach over all of these, but we are going to give an overview of several of them here in this video today. I've also learned over time that it's not necessary to deal with all 17 of those at once. And in my experience, helping many, many people, as we move from left to right on this image along a timeline, the first and most important ones are food quality and micronutrients. You have to be getting all the nutrients for your body to run itself properly. Then, some people, based on symptoms that I'll tell you about a little bit later, we may need to take a look at adverse food reactions. Next up are stress and your adrenal glands and other emotional reasons for eating. If these are going on, they will pretty much outweigh all other factors combined, and in some cases, we might need to deal with stress and those emotions before even food quality. So this is a guideline. I want to emphasize this. This is not a hard, fast flow chart where you must do all these things in a certain order. After we deal with the emotions now, the next thing I found that's most helpful for the most people is exercise and caloric balance. You're just not going to be able to push your body into a higher level of health and performance if you're sitting on the couch not exercising every day. Closely followed by exercise and caloric balance are other metabolic factors, your thyroid system, your body temperature, blood sugar control. Somewhere around here, we need to really deal with systemic chronic inflammation. I'll show you an image later where it shows how that could be a driver of other chronic illnesses. And rather than working at the downstream end of those, we need to go back upstream and remove the causes of the chronic inflammation. Other hormones and neurotransmitters might need to be tested for and addressed, so that includes the reproductive hormones. Environmental toxins come into play here. They do tend to interfere with our hormones and neurotransmitters. The hypothalamic set point, it's really hard to override the programming in your hypothalamus region of your brain that says you need to store a certain amount of fat. And if we don't change that hypothalamic set point, you will never be successful long term. And in parallel with all of that is sleep. If you're not sleeping, a lot of these other body factors are substandard. So here we're going to explore the three main macronutrients. This is the first most important place I start with everyone is high quality nutrition. So high quality versus low quality proteins. Animals or fish fed their own natural diets, plant sources that were raised organically, and anything else goes into the low quality column. High quality versus low quality carbohydrates. This falls into the category of needing to know the difference between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. Complex carbs are long chains of the carbohydrate molecules that the body must break down in the digestion process before being able to absorb it into the bloodstream, where it gets routed to the organs that need it. So vegetables, volcanes, whole grains, fiber, fruits, that sort of thing. Simple carbohydrates are simple chains of one or two molecules of carbs or sugars that the body can absorb without taking time to digest it. This results in rapidly fluctuating blood sugar levels. So white flour, white sugar, and anything that is biochemically equivalent. High quality and low quality fats may be the most confusing subject in nutrition here in modern times. The omega oils, omega-3, 6, and some 9s, are the essential fats we must get in a diet. American diets are heavy in omega-6, very, very, very sparse in omega-3, hence the emphasis in nutritional circles on supplementing omega-3 oils like flax oil, evening primrose, or borage oil, and fish oils. None of these oils should be used for cooking, but only used as a supplement or added to the food after it's cooked. All the other fats, margarine, Crisco, most vegetable oils, are either already in the trans fat configuration or they are going to end up being converted to trans fat in the cooking. The next major area of food quality I need to talk about is leaving out the poisons. In other words, eating organically grown foods as opposed to the poison-laden foods with pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, and so forth have been sprayed on them. Closely related is the concept of genetically modified foods. GMO foods are sources of disease. This is the very, very short version of all this. So again, I'll refer you back a little bit to the detoxification lecture from January of this year, 2024, which is links to that YouTube video or on my website. So the very long story, very short, we need to supplement the essential nutrients, the vitamins and minerals, fatty acids, and so forth in our diet because the food being grown now in American farming soils can't produce foods with enough nutrients to keep us healthy. So the blue line here on this graph shows the gradual decline since the early 20th century in the amount of nutrition that's available in foods, and the green line shows the increasing need for nutrition to deal with these environmental toxins. To clear them from the body, we need vitamins and minerals to drive our detoxification systems. There's a gap there, that red bar, we call that the nutrient gap. Even if we get perfect farm soils and start producing foods that have the same nutrition they did 100 years ago, we will still have a gap. It won't be quite as big, but we'll still have a gap. So for the foreseeable future, everyone to be optimally healthy must be supplementing the essential nutrients. The next item I often consider for many people is the concept of adverse food reactions. You might be eating a perfectly healthy food that's healthy for most people, but if you are having an adverse reaction to it, which could be an intolerance, a sensitivity, or an overt allergy, then it's not going to be healthy for you. The key that leads us down the path of thinking you may have adverse food reactions is that we see symptoms in primarily these 6 areas listed here: the gastrointestinal tract, the respiratory system, skin, joints, headaches with no other cause, and weight gain unexplainable by other causes. So we're here talking about weight gain. I've had a lot of people just come in for whatever reason. They have a lot of these symptoms, maybe symptom 4, 5, or all 6 of these areas. Run the food allergy test, take out what they can't eat from their diets. They follow that recommendation, and inflammation in the GI tract goes way down. They start absorbing nutrients. They have better job of eliminating waste products from the system, and weight starts to melt away. This is one of the 17 items in my weight loss system, if you want to call it that. So it's not the only answer, but if it's going on, it will pretty much derail any other efforts you make. So when I see people with a lot of those symptoms and I start to suspect food allergies, I run a blood-based food antibody test. I've tried all of the major labs in the country. There's about half a dozen, plus or minus, that run blood-based antibody tests looking at food allergies. I keep coming back to the same lab over the last 25 years because I get the best clinical results. Meaning we run the test, we get an answer back, people avoid those foods and get better. It's not perfect. There's no test, no lab out there that's perfect, but we're in the 90% better range with this. So here is what the results might look like. It's 190 foods on the test. It's 4 pages. This is 1/2 of 1 page as a representative sample. Looking at this, this is the format. It shows dairy products, eggs, it shows the wheat and gluten grains, and these are by far the most common food allergens when I test. There's a lot of reasons for that, but this is the kind of graphic report you'll get back, and then it's no one's opinion. This is your immune system telling you what foods to avoid. All right, that brings us up to blood sugar control and the concept of glycemic index. This is a measure of how rapidly a food causes your blood sugar to rise when you eat a specific measured quantity of food compared to ingesting an equal amount of pure sugar. So high glycemic index foods essentially match sugar. So white flour may not taste sweet, but when you eat it and it's tested, it has a glycemic index that's virtually identical to sugar. So proteins, fats, complex carbohydrates follow a blood sugar curve that's like the green. The red shows simple carbohydrates and high glycemic index foods. And our body has a threshold. We call it the fat storage threshold. Whenever the blood sugar goes above that threshold, you've exceeded the rate at which the liver can store that blood sugar as a storage form of energy, and it gets converted into fat. So learning to manage blood sugar and eating primarily low glycemic index foods is going to be a big key to help you lose weight. So this picture here shows that what I just said a little more graphically. You eat food, the blood sugar goes up. The pancreas measures that blood sugar and produces the hormone insulin, which triggers the liver to store glucose as glycogen, but excess levels get converted to fat. Insulin then also tells the fat cells to store those extra fatty acids and triglycerides. So this is just another graphic way of showing that and re-emphasizing why blood sugar control is important for losing weight. So our body has a stress response. It is part of our survival mechanism that's built in. In the old days, the stress events would have been being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or some other predator, and we either had to run away, climb a tree, get down a hole, or we had to pick up a stick or a rock and fight the tiger and win. And the fact that you're here means your ancestors were good at that. But now, in modern times, we have civil unrest, we have long lines at airports, and we have long lines in traffic, and we have a lot of other stress-inducing situations that really aren't life-threatening, but from our mental programming, they're not normal. It's not a relaxing event. So all that sensory data goes into the hypothalamus region of your brain, and it can't tell the difference between a stressful event that's life-threatening and a stressful event that isn't. All the hypothalamus does is ask the question, is this a safe and normal situation? If the answer is yes, no problem, no change to our physiology. If the answer is no, this isn't safe and normal, the only choice the body has is to determine that this is life-threatening. The hypothalamus signals the adrenal glands. We produce cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine, which are the main adrenal gland hormones and neurotransmitters to respond to stress. All of that increases our heart rate, our breathing rate, increases blood and oxygen flow to the muscles, your lungs, and your heart. In other words, all the parts of your body you need to fight that tiger, and everything else gets shut down. The digestive tract is shut down, so you stop digesting food and absorbing nutrients. Your immune system gets shut down. Your reproductive system shuts down. And these are the short-term effects. I'll show you some long-term stress effects next. If that stress response, where your body thinks you're being chased by a life-threatening predator, but you really aren't, if that goes on long-term, every day, many times a day, you start to have a reduced ability to digest food and absorb nutrients. Your organs will gradually experience reduced function, reduced ability to repair or heal, a reduced functioning of your immune system, which means you're more prone to various opportunistic infections, reduced mental and emotional functioning. The excess cortisol helps lead to extra fat storage, because long-term stress in nature is caused by famine, not by predators. So if you manage to find food in a famine, the body says, oh my, we'll just store all that over here as fat because it's a famine, the hormones say so. Right? So managing stress is going to become very, very important long-term for weight loss. Reduced duration and quality of sleep. You can pause this and read all those other things here, as well as some on the next slide of the benefits of having good quality sleep. So anyway, that's the quick summary of the effects of stress on your body. Now this image here shows very specifically the combination of factors that lead to fat deposition because of stress. It's showing it just a little bit different, as well as some of the long-term other health risks involved. So increased adrenal output of hormones and neurotransmitters, especially the cortisol, will trigger your body to crave sugar, because that's the energy that gives you the most energy in a short period of time. That produces an insulin surge, as we saw earlier, fat deposition. This long-term stress leads to decreased reproductive hormones, so testosterone and estrogen, progesterone, growth hormone gets depressed. Thyroid hormones, which are important for regulating your metabolism, all those combine as a perfect storm of neural and hormonal factors to lead to increased fat deposition in your body. Long-term, of course, feel free to pause this. Here's the list of the major chronic illnesses, all secondary to stress. When we sleep, this produces a daily cycle of recirculation of our blood, our body's energy we call qi, hormones and neurotransmitters. Sleep is when our excess stress-induced hormones and neurotransmitters are supposed to be cleared out. This is where our body's repair mechanisms kick in. Physical, mental, and emotional disorders, as well as normal functioning, all improve with increased sleep. I've had patients say, but I don't have time to sleep. I have to stay up and do this. And my response is always something along the lines of, well, you actually don't have time not to sleep. You have to. We'll talk something similar about exercise coming up in just a little bit. With better sleep, your thoughts are clearer. It basically, sleep is what turns on your parasympathetic nervous system. This is the healing and nutritional side of the automatic nervous system. It has the opposite effect on your body of all those stress hormones we saw earlier. So this stimulates repair of your body. It reduces the effects of stress, and it clears the inflammation from your body. So sleep is really important. If that's an issue, that'll be something we need to work on together when we start working on your overall approach to weight loss. So when it comes to calming yourself down, your mind, your body, your spirit down so that you can get good sleep, there's a variety of techniques that fall into the general categories of meditation, biofeedback, prayer, what are sometimes called skilled relaxation programs. That's kind of a more modern scientific term in case there are some people who say, oh, well, meditation, that's from a different spiritual tradition to me. I can't do meditation, but I'll do biofeedback, I'll do skilled relaxation. But it's really all designed to do the same effect, no matter what name we give this process. It puts the body's brain waves in the same pattern as would happen in REM sleep. That's that deepest, most rejuvenating level of sleep. This helps the subconscious mind clear the stresses and resolve those issues. This is rejuvenation for your subconscious mind. It improves body luster and general health. It'll improve your concentration. It means for deeper levels of relaxation. Your immune system is enhanced with skilled relaxation and biofeedback and meditation. You can see this whole list of things here, some very specific ones. Increased levels of serotonin, energy, strength, and this will help you sleep better. So this is a very wide avenue of possibilities here in what we call the mind, body, spirit approach to health. Okay, so the next of the 17 areas we're up to is physical exercise. Exercise has a lot of benefits for helping you lose weight. It's part of the caloric balance equation, so this is one of 17 areas. It's not the only one, which is the only one you get in a lot of weight loss programs. But strengthening your heart and lungs, oxygen and nutrients into your tissues helps clear metabolic waste out, promotes better sleep, better sex life, reduces body fat, builds stronger, healthy muscles. It reduces your risk of major illnesses, reduces your risk of falls. Many, many, many benefits to physical exercise. The most important form of exercise for you to use, it's whichever one you like and will actually perform regularly. All right, now what we just looked at were a list of some of the major physical benefits of regular physical exercise. Now we're looking at the mental and emotional benefits of regular physical exercise. Improved moods. You will have a better psychological well-being. Your self-esteem goes up. You'll have improved ability to concentrate and maintain mental focus. You will increase and maintain your cognitive functions. You will think better. All the various negative effects of stress on the body just go away. Stronger antidepressant, anxiolytic, stronger than any drug or natural remedy ever tested. So when they compare exercise to pharmaceutical drugs, exercise does better. When they've compared exercise to herbs and supplements to combat stress and anxiety, exercise does better. Your sleep gets better. Remember, we saw how important sleep was just a little bit ago. Exercise helps you sleep better. So I can't emphasize it enough. If you need help getting started, come talk to me. If you feel you have physical limitations and you need to be careful in something, come talk to me. All right, that's all I am going to say right now on exercise. We are now up to one of the later of the 17 areas on that suggested flow chart called the hypothalamic set point. And to understand this, it's important to know that your body makes three types of fat. What we have normal fat reserves, under the skin above the muscle layer. Structural fat, which is really acting more like a connective tissue, shock absorbing properties under your heel pads, around your kidneys, and so forth, and a long-term storage form of fat that we sometimes call brown fat, and that is there as a defense mechanism against alternating periods of feast and famine that roughly take place on 6-month cycles, so winter, summer, dry season, wet season, and it's more metabolically active than conventional fat. The big downside of brown fat is once your body stores it, it only comes off under severe starvation, or for the women, if you are pregnant and it's a famine. So that's the 3 kinds of fats our bodies make. So real quickly on this side, the long-term fat's never released except under those conditions I mentioned. Fat deposition and fat release from those long-term fat cells is regulated by the hypothalamus. There's a set of more than 50 signaling molecules known as adipokines, along with the hormones leptin and ghrelin, and learning how that system works and how we take advantage of it can help you lose a lot of weight in a hurry very safely. So as I mentioned, the hypothalamus in the brain has a set point. It can be, think of it just like a thermostat in your house that's intended to measure how much fat you have in the body and compare that number to how much it's supposed to have. So hormones go out from the brain and hormones come back from fat cells, and this is a constant little feedback process. So a very long story, very short, a British doctor named Simmons in the 40s and 50s developed a protocol using injections of the hormone HCG, or human chorionic gonadotrophin, sometimes called the so-called pregnancy hormone because it's detectable for women when you're pregnant. In adolescence, both men and women, this hormone is naturally generated by both male and female bodies to help in the growth and development of the reproductive system. So HCG in adults is only generated by pregnant women. It has 2 functions in the body in that regard. It stimulates the ovaries to keep producing progesterone until the placenta from the implanted fetus is making enough of its own to maintain the pregnancy until the baby's done growing. The second action takes place in the hypothalamus in the brain to turn on a variety of pregnancy-related functions, including the regulation of fat stores. So this slide presents just a little more detail on some of the highlights I gave you in the previous slide, so feel free to pause the video here and read this in depth if you like. Progesterone levels is what maintains the uterine lining and prevents the start of a menstrual cycle if a woman has conceived. After 3 months, the placenta has grown large enough that it can produce sufficient levels of progesterone, usually, to maintain the pregnancy on its own. The little portion of the ovary that just released the egg cell that was fertilized has about 3 months worth of progesterone producing ability. So 3 months. It's often a time when some women miscarry due to insufficient levels of progesterone. So if you know of anyone who's ever had that and are trying to have a child, have them contact me. Fertility is one of my main specialties, and there's ways to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. But as far as weight loss, we take advantage of this in this HCG program. This is a nutritional protocol that uses injections of the hormone HCG to trick the body into thinking that you're in a famine and you're pregnant, and it works both for men and women. This causes the body to be triggered to release the hormones that cause you to burn energy from the long-term fat cells, which in turn suppresses the hunger signal. And by carefully regulating your diet of just a few specific foods, it enhances this, and on average, people will lose over, let's say, a 30-day period between 3/4 of a pound and 1.5 pounds per day over that 30-day period. And then when it's done, there's a specific protocol for reprogramming the body to say, okay, whatever fat levels are in the body right now, this is the new normal. That's what we call the hypothalamic set point. This nutritional protocol and injection protocol is by far the best, most effective way of losing weight that I've found. And I've been looking at all of this stuff for more than a quarter of a century now. So if you need to lose a lot of weight in a hurry, this is the protocol I will recommend. So contact me. One of our body's natural immune system function is to produce a response that we call inflammation. Inflammation is a response to physical injury or in many cases to infectious illnesses. And we need to take a look at what the causes of those are. Inflammation is at epidemic levels in our culture, here in the modern times in the United States. The conventional medicine looks at inflammation as a disease in its own right. They don't understand all its myriad of causes. And so their response is, oh, you have inflammation here, have some anti-inflammatory drugs. In the natural world, we view inflammation as a very important indicator. It's pointing us to a set of problems that we need to go figure out and remove the root causes of. All right, here is a very excellent diagram that explains the whole body inflammation process really well. This is often referred to as systemic chronic inflammation. This is from a very good journal article in a journal called Nature Medicine. The full citation is down here at the bottom of this page. Feel free to pause the video, write that down. This article is downloadable. It's in the free category. And I encourage you, if you are dealing with any of these issues on this page or weight loss, you may want to read this. It's a very informative article. So SCI, systemic chronic inflammation, that's the gear in the middle. The inputs that drive it are the things on the left half of the screen, the ones shown in black. So xenobiotics, that's environmental toxins, disturbed sleep, isolation, chronic stress, bad diet, upsets in the GI tract, obesity, physical inactivity, chronic infections, all can be inputs to drivers to drive this systemic inflammation process. The outputs, the gear on the right, once that SCI gear starts to turn due to a variety of inputs, long term, you see all these things on the left. Metabolic syndrome that can lead to type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, cancer, mental depression, autoimmune diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, sarcopenia and osteoporosis. Sarcopenia is muscle wasting. Immunosenescence, meaning your immune system gets old and senile. So long-term suppressed immune systems. This is how natural medicine thinks about chronic inflammation. And you can look at the left. If you have any of these conditions on the right, the ones in the kind of purplish pink there, they need to have symptoms controlled, but the heart of the root cause at any rate is systemic inflammation, and you can give anti-inflammatories till the cows come home, but you're not going to permanently eliminate systemic inflammation until you go to the left and identify and clean up all those drivers, the input drivers, as I call them. So this one slide here says a lot of information. It takes some time to ponder it, and I will help you figure out how many of these may be affecting you. Okay, that's what I have time to present in this short video. Obviously, each one of these 17 areas can, be talked about and investigated at length. This is just an overview to show you that, yes, if you're struggling with weight issues, there really is a roadmap. And if in the course of this you realize how much these areas are interrelated and how that might be driving some of the other health issues you may be having, Hopefully, this gives you the encouragement that yes, we can put together a customized roadmap unique for you to help you A, lose weight, and B, reestablish your normal health. All right, so I mentioned my core health lectures. These lectures, I have a short video on my website, a free video to watch that tells you where they all came from. But basically, from talking to lots and lots of patients over the last quarter century and saying the same things over and over, so I created a set of classes where I gave all this information to people in a compressed period of time. That information is now largely captured in my lectures, which are videos on my website called the Core Health Lectures. Nutrition number one, nutrition number two. Number one is macronutrients and food quality. We covered a little bit of that here. Number two is micronutrients and supplementation. We go into the benefits of a variety of the different vitamins and minerals. Number two, detoxification. Now, I gave a short version of that in my first Thursday Health and Wellness lecture last month, January of 2024. I have a much longer, more detailed video as part of the Core Health Lectures. Consciousness, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, our true holistic nature. Stress and your adrenal glands and the immune system. These are all complete. You can watch these lectures by becoming a member of my Patreon online membership or by becoming a member of one of my annual wellness plans. The three down at the bottom of the list in blue blueprint there, the internal energy, chi, prana, vital force, and its role in health. Exercise, I'm going to have a much more detailed exercise video, and sleep and how to get good sleep. Those are mostly done and written and just need either to be recorded or to finally be the fine-tuning editing on them. And so they'll be up soon. We're here in early February of 2024. I expect that by spring they'll all be done. That is my projection anyway. So if all of this hits you, and this, if you're watching this and you're from a long ways away and you want to gain the benefit of some of the knowledge that I have to share with people and the successes I've had working with people, an awful lot of what I teach and will do is in fact contained in these core health lecture subjects. So please contact me. Okay, so some of my upcoming events. The first Thursday series is on the first Thursday of each month. Next month in March, I'm going to be talking about the big three causes of modern ill health and what to do about them. And in April, Syndrome X, diabetes, and the modern myths of blood sugar control. There is still a lot of misinformation. I mean, a lot of misinformation being bandied about in the media and by the conventional medical world on this subject in particular. My longevity program is in the process of being updated. I will begin offering that possibly only online, possibly live in person, depending on how the registrations will go. First thing I need to do is pick dates. I thought I had them. Now I don't. I had some conflicts. So stay tuned to my website. I'll have dates for you by spring. Ongoing activity, Qigong for health and longevity. Qigong is an internal or so-called soft style martial art that can also have great benefits for health, consciousness, and longevity. I teach a beginning up to intermediate level class weekly at 7 p.m. Wednesdays. That's Mountain Time. Make sure you do the time zone conversions correctly if you're not in the Mountain Time zone. $5 a session. It is available on Zoom. The Qigong classes are included with the Patreon program at any level and any of my annual wellness plans. Speaking of my annual wellness plans, here are just a few of the major bullets of what the advantages are for becoming a member of an annual wellness plan. This is a model sometimes referred to as concierge medicine. It can be referred to or thought of as prepaid medical for the whole year in advance. Different billing options are available. I have a 6-page flyer that I will be happy to send you if you contact me via email and request it, and we will get you started. This is the future of healthcare as, unfortunately, the conventional medical system continues to degrade and crumble. And that's it. If you have questions about the material in this video on weight loss, any of the other things I do, by all means contact me. Email address is here, my clinic phone number is here, and my website is here. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just click on over. The links to the website are in fact in the description of this video. And I hope to hear from you if you think I might be able to help you.